What's up, studio audience, and welcome back to the More Laughing at Work podcast. I am your host, comedian Allison Moore. I am a human resources expertish situation. I am a stand-up comedian, and I'm also an executive in communications. And so I'm really excited about our podcast that we're growing. If you can see me, then that means you are watching. Well, no, you are a part of the behind the scenes audience. Okay, focus. Anyway, thank you for being a part of the behind the scenes and the recording of the More Laughing at Work podcast. So, I don't know. What are you doing? Hey, grab some coffee or something, and let's get into the show. Hey, cousin colleagues, welcome to the More Laughing at Work podcast. Let's talk. Does anybody see that? Wait, is that just me? Or is that an elephant sitting right here in the office? Okay, this is just so uncomfortable. My secondhand embarrassment cannot take another meeting with Susie Q and don't nobody pay attention to her while she's having her meeting. I mean, look at her, y'all. She was early for her meeting. She sent an email for us to read it. I'm not reading all of that. That's too much. I'm not reading that. But look, she have candles lit? Are we allowed to have candles in this conference room? This lady takes her meeting so serious. And nobody else cares. They look at Billy Bob, the boss. He's on his phone the whole time. I guess nobody else is gonna participate. Well, if nobody else sees that this poor little lady is, or her meeting efforts are just going over everybody's head, then I guess I don't see it either. Hey, cousin colleagues, welcome to the More Laughing at Work podcast. Let's talk. Welcome to the More Laughing at Work podcast. Yeah, I just be wanting to sing so bad. I know. And you don't want me to do it because I got about 3.5 good notes and then the rest get a little shaky. Shout out to all of the real singers. Listen, you are listening to the More Laughing at Work podcast. I am your host, Allison Moore. I am a human resources professional, expert, practitioner. Is she, you know what I'm saying? Just put some ish on the end, but we got some HR up in it. I am also a clean stand-up comedian because I don't curse or use profanity on stage, but watch your mouth. And then we are also, I am also a communications executive. I work at a financial institution and I do the communications there for them. So listen, I want to hang out with you today. We are more laughing at work is she because you know what I'm saying? I need to laugh. I need to work too, but I need to laugh at work, and I'm sure that you do too. This is a little bit of, let's see, we're going to sprinkle some funny, some humor, some real life into our professional development ishy something ish, and just together grow as the co-worker cousins community that wants to be our best selves professionally. So this is episode 5. And those of you who have listened to any of the other episodes, you know that it may be 5 for you. Come on, somebody. But it is episode 76 to me. You know what I'm saying? I did it. It's a struggle. Here I am complaining. Whatever. I am so glad to be able to chat with you all because I wish that I had a community that had, that was like-minded, that was a bunch of professionals who we were trying to move forward together. Because there's so many things that you miss or so many opportunities you miss out on if you don't have the right people around you. So that's our community here, people that are moving forward professionally together. And it always can't be the people that work really right there with you because most of the time my real coworkers are cray. Oh, is it just me? Is it just mine? Am I the cray coworker? And okay, let me We're going to figure this out as we're together, but I'm excited about being able to talk with you because you don't really work with me in real life. And so you won't judge me. But I do want to be my best self professionally without, without crossing any of the lines. So what's going on with you this week? Well, I hope that you have had a fantastic week so far. Last week, the last time that we talked up until today has been pretty eventful. We are now moving into spring break week over here in my world. Shout out to all of the parents who are excited about spring break because you don't feel like telling your little ugly kids to put on deodorant in the morning. I mean, I understand. I mean, I don't understand because my kids aren't ugly. But if you have ugly kids, that's between you and God. Maybe you did something that okay, whatever, focus. Because some of you are like, girl, I see your pictures, your kids are ugly. Your mama ugly. Your mama is ugly. How did we get here? More laughing at work. I am excited about spring break because for real, mornings, I'd prefer to just wake up, drink me some coffee, do some exercise, some meditation, and then just walk 12 steps over into my virtual office. I don't want to fight with a third grader about wearing a jacket. When it was wintertime, he wanted to wear shorts. When it is summertime, I'm in South Carolina and the weather is weathering here. There's some other parts of South Carolina that is taking me a little bit to get used to. Some pieces I don't think I'm ever going to get used to. Racism. But the hospitality is amazing here and the weather. Oh my gosh, the weather. The weather is pretty fantastic, except I live right by some water and I didn't think through these frogs and water liking things that be all up around my house, but whatever. We were talking about spring break and why I myself am so happy about spring break because I just need my mornings back with no conflict or no focus girl he's not, like that's what I say to encourage myself through my younger person. Like I was sharing with you, in the summertime, he wanted to wear in the winter, he wanted to wear shorts. Now it's getting hot and he got a coat on, y'all, a coat. And I know that they judge me. Do any of the parents feel like that the faculty, the teachers, the bus driver, anybody, the other parents that are dropping their kids off at the bus, do you even care that people are judging you? I don't always care, but wearing a coat when it is 78 degrees outside, like a puffer coat, y'all. Like if you are 80s kid like me, think First Down. It's giving First Down. Puff, huge. You don't live in Canada, sir. We're not in Canada. This is not New York. Although I was listening to me some New York bop because I'm a thug on the inside. But I'm like, stop. And it's frustrating. So I'm excited that I do not have to worry about that. What do you look forward to spring break, or is it just a me thing? I don't want to rub it in anybody's face, but not only are we on spring break, but my kid is going with his dad in a whole different state for an entire week. I'm just saying, it's not enough time for Stella to get her groove back. But Stella will be flirting with some groove. I mean, Stella got 7 days that she's going to figure out what we're going to pick up the groove. We're going to the store. We're going to buy some groove. We're going to put it in the freezer and it is going to stay there until the summer. Cause baby, I'm popping out this summer. Listen here. And if you want to, we should do maybe our podcast can grow. We should have some meetups. What y'all think? More laughing at okay, focus. Anyway, we have rambled quite a bit. But I am excited about today's episode because I have a co-worker cousin in the break room. Oh, yes. All right. So many of you know our show is broken up into a couple of segments. Some of you all, shout out to the OGs, family and friends who are sharing your feedback. Somebody, what are y'all saying? I got smorgasbord energy going on my podcast. And your mama got smorgasbord. I could tell by you, her offspring. Okay, I'm just kidding. It really is a little smorgasbordish-y, but the truth is, I'm smorgasbordish. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Where y'all gonna get it? I'm random, ADHD-ishy that never got diagnosed. And smorgasbord is just, to me, I'm like, well, it all goes together. So we have our office elephants. We have our professional perspective when we have guests. Those are our coworker cousins that joins us in the break room when we talk about work and work-life balancey stuff. And then we have our More Laughing at the Bank, All the Way to the Bank podcast, because why are we going to work, guys, except to make this money? And so I'm excited about having a community of friends that we're growing in our personal finance together. And then also because I am an HR-ish person, we have Ask Allison, or that is the off the record segment where, I want to hear from you and what you got going on at your work, and then you can hear what I would tell you as your friend that used to be in HR. Now, disclaimer, don't y'all go walking up in your HR department talking about Allison told me. Because it may or may not help you. This is anyway. So that's our show, essentially. And I'm excited today because this is our first episode that you all get to hear that has a real human coworker cousin in the building. Pew, 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 pew. Yay! Okay, so I said that you all get to hear because on our journey of 5 long episodes, I may or may not have really started this podcast over a year ago, and may or may not had recorded 4 other episodes, and may or may not had lost them on the hard drive with guests and all. Y'all just got to believe me when I say there was some fantastic, funny conversations that we just will never hear. But we're back. We're starting all over. And today we have a coworker cousin in the building. We also have, y'all, we have another letter from one of you wrote into the Off the Record. I was so hyped, y'all, because last week we had our first one, and then we'll cross that bridge when we get to, because I'm out here just messing it all up, just screwing up everything that we got going on. So I'm gonna tell you about how I jacked that last week one all the way up, but I'm really excited. So what are we talking about today? Well, you heard the office elephant, and I'm kind of joking on watching people give above and beyond in settings, meetings, and etc. And they don't get the love, respect, and appreciation that they should get. It's always a little bit the office elephant, because I got a strong case. I secondhand embarrassment. I can't do the way my secondhand embarrassment is set up. If I see you being embarrassed, I'm going to be suffocated with the secondhand of it. Like just watching somebody be embarrassing, or watching cringe moments, or watching uncomfortableness. I cannot stand it. And I really think that that's a part of where my comedic side came in. It's more like a defense mechanism. Like I feel like, oh my gosh, if it's an embarrassing moment, I'll just say something or do something or whatever to kind of distract or pop the balloon or air out the room or whatever. Nobody asked me to do this. It's just a part of my personality that inserts myself in spaces that ain't got nothing to do with me. But I have done that because it's just weird. It's like, I'll save you. Ha! Here's a joke. And then I just developed this whatever. I like always notice the most weird, uncomfortable whatevers. But most of the time, and I think this is a lot of my projection, which is why I shout out to my therapist. But most of the time, I also then will watch, it's like a me situation. Okay, so here's what made me say all that. So the office elephant, I am so extra when it comes to meetings because, first of all, I'm trying to maximize this 45 minutes because why are we here unless we are really trying to make progress? I can't stand meetings that we say the same thing over and over again. I'm like, I hate y'all and y'all hate me. Let's just we hate each other because why are we here to do this again? So for me, I am Susie Q. Like I'm so extra. I'm going to type up an outline. We got the outline of the outline. I'm going to send it to you. It's the outline, and then there's some little notes, and then there's my side thoughts, and then here's what we should learn from this, and we should walk away with this, and next steps, and just too much. I'm going to have some music playing before the meeting starts, especially virtually. If it's something at my house, you better know I'm probably listening to some trap music. I mean, it just depends. Sometimes it could be gospel. Sometimes it could be jazz. Shout out to jazz. And then other times it's just straight rap. we gonna city girls. This is what we're doing. I'm not saying that I am always, maybe I should be more intentional about what type of music I'm listening to before the meetings, because maybe that's why I'm like, what? When they come in. This is good to know and talk all out. Anyway, it is so frustrating to me. When I put all of this into this meeting, I'm thinking it's thoughtful. I'm thinking it's respectful. I'm thinking it's to show you how much I respect your time and how I'm really hoping that we can move forward. And then people, they don't prepare. They never prepare. You just come like, I just needed you to be there to look at me. It's just so frustrating. People come to meetings and they did not do what they were supposed to do at the last meeting, or nothing in between, or didn't even just read the notes that you sent. And then here I am, me, and I'm talking to people who are like me, do too much. I'm talking to, shout out, raise your hand wherever you are right now if you are a do too much type of person. Come on. It's a whole lot of us. Most of us are. So be honest. You're a do too much. My friend and I, we used to we used to say all the time, we're doing too much or not enough. This is too much and not enough. And I am good for that. I'll do too much in the wrong areas and not enough in the right areas. But when you are a too mucher person, you do a whole lot of stuff. You try to say that it's for everybody else, even though nobody asked you to do it. I'm talking to me. And then you get frustrated when it's not reciprocated or appreciated or noticed, even though nobody asked you to do it. And then you're bitter and mad and nobody even knows you're upset. So here we are. So today's elephant in the office is real clear. Shout out to you if you have a coworker, a friend, employee, or whatever who they may be a little extra, but that's their time, their energy. That's a part of their love language. Just let them know I saw your presentation, saw your notes, didn't open the email, never open your emails, but I just want to let you know that I do appreciate you trying. Just give a little encouragement to the extras today. Extra Elizabeth. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so that was our elephant in the office. Duh. But can we just go? Let's just move on into this, because I'm really excited about getting to this coworker conversation, and I think that you are too. So I'm merging our professional perspective and our coworker conversation into one, because it was already a topic that I wanted to, and I think it has so many layers, and it's something that we will discuss and grow in a lot. But then I'm like, we're going to crack into this. I want to crack into it with my friend who really introduced me to the conversation. So today's professional perspective is all about sponsoring. I think we're naming this episode Sponsoring Ishy P. Like something that people won't read it and be like, what the heck? Because I also know with episode 5, you don't really know my personality or my, unless you already know me, my sense of humor. So I don't want my effort to be weird or whatever. Not effort to be weird. I'm effortlessly weird, but in my effort to look like it's fun and funny, I don't want to lose people, right? Because I'm trying to figure out how to merge. It's not real content, but it's serious stuff that I guess I want to make humorous, just so that it could be palatable and not boring, but we still need to talk about it. Anyway, so sponsoring. Let me tell you why sponsoring is so important. On my professional journey, when I left college, I graduated college and I went into my first human resources job. So it was entry-level job in HR. And where did I work? Give me a minute. I gotta, because I am a mature professional. Employee relations. I don't know why that division was escaping me. But okay, so I left college and went into employee relations in an entry-level position. I had limited exposure to adults who had these white collar jobs. And so then therefore I did not understand the dynamics, the politics, the games. I didn't know how you're supposed to do corporate. And when you don't have parents, aunts, uncles, friends with parents or whatever who work in these jobs and you have nobody to envision when you yourself are a young professional. You have nobody to model after. You're just left with your own personality and your own devices. And so for me, I had a really hard time adjusting, because I came there with my own sense of street smart or whatever level of emotional intelligence I had at 23 or 4, however old I was, because it took me a little bit of time to get out of college because I had all those babies. You know, you mind your business. Okay. You mind your business. We here now. So I went into college and I didn't have any professionals that I could model after that I spent time with to be able to connect the dots that, you know, this is what Miss Such and Such will do in this space. Or I can call Mr. Blah, blah, blah and ask them how to handle this. I didn't have anybody calling me after graduation in college or whatever and say, hey, you ever thought about this? And what's your degree going to be in? And you could do these things and you can go after this job. And so therefore, I spent a lot of time probably the visual that I have is like a wheel turning in the mud. I spent a lot of time probably in the same place, using a lot of energy, a lot of effort, but not moving forward because I did not even understand that that's how you should be thinking about a job professionally. So I probably set myself back maybe even 5 years because of this I guess what I missed, this gap, right? And so within this gap, one of the things that didn't connect or I didn't know was important was this concept of sponsoring. And that's where you have someone who is, or someones who are speaking on your behalf. They know you, they think highly of you, they think you could be the next such and such. There's someone there that's pulling you up. I didn't know that that's how things worked in pretty much all of life, but I especially didn't connect that with my professional space, right? And so I knew from like being in, let's say, in church or religious space, I understood mentorship. I understood having, someone that you can call like on a day-to-day type of just life, right? Like this hand in hand, walking with you, big brother, big sister, parental type of relationship. But I didn't understand that I needed somebody who can speak to me specifically about professional stuff and who can speak on my behalf, specifically professionally, when I wasn't there. And so I'm really excited about having that conversation because now that I have moved up a lot in my career, I'm in the place now where I have the opportunity to be sponsoring other professionals. And I have been really, really, really taking my role very seriously over this last year. And one of the reasons or places or people that got me here is today's guest. So I'm really excited to talk about who he is. So this is my friend, my mentor. Don't tell him I said that. My sponsor, Jim Franklin. So if you have been a part of the More Laughing family, I call you the OGs, the original gigglers. Those have been on this journey with me laughing from, I don't know, comedy and restaurants until where we are now. You know that maybe about 5 years ago now, I met Jim when I started my coffee business. So we have Black Please Coffee. And you know what? Pause. This makes me think. I think I tagged a commercial in the Black Please and I told y'all, go to the website. And I gotta make sure by the time this episode come out that we have something on the website. Anyway, I started this coffee business named Black Please Coffee. And I thought it was really cool. I didn't know nothing about no coffee, but that's another story. Thought it was really cool to have coffee. I was a morning speaker being requested because I was funny a lot to come out and open up conferences and events. I'm like, okay, well, shoot, since I don't have a book and usually speakers have books or some kind of product, I can have coffee because it's on brand. A morning coffee. It's a cool, sexy product. It's something different. And I'm gonna call it Black Please because duh. And so I'm like, oh yay. I put it out there like, oh, I'm gonna do Black Please Coffee. And I just had this response. My Black audience were like, that's what I'm talking about, Harriet Tubman. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Because at that time, only thing I had was sweatshirts. Because I said I want to start a coffee business. I ain't know about coffee. I ain't have a bean, a roaster. Again, another story. So it's Black Please, and it resonated with the community. That's like, yes, let's have something else that's, cutting through some of this racial tensity. That is not the word I'm looking for. Racial tension. Thank you. I feel like one of you all were like, tension in the Wi-Fi's. I felt you in the Wi-Fi waves. And a lot of my white audiences were like, why would you name it Black Please? What do you mean by that? I mean, and no, that's not true. It was some Black audiences too that were like, okay, well, if you got a Black Please and you're a Black woman, people are going to not support you. And so I was getting a lot. I had two different reactions to me naming the company Black Please. At the same time, somebody told me, well, at Norfolk State, you guys got an innovation program that helps start up businesses. I didn't know about that at that time. So why don't you go over there? You an alum. I'm like, oh, yes. So I said, okay, I'm going to go get in this program. I registered to get into this program. And lo and behold, there is this white man who is teaching the class. I mean, I go to Norfolk State, not necessarily to see. It just took a minute. You know what I'm saying? I didn't say, oh, I'm going to go there because it's going to be a Black person that's going to lead this class. I don't even know if I thought about it. I attended the school and I never had a white educator or professor at Norfolk State. I don't think they were all Black or brown. So I see him and I was like, this is different, but just how he was talking or whatever, I could tell by the way, I could just tell that he wasn't giving racist prick vibes, right? Like, I don't know how else to say that, but then I'm remembering I'm on my show. I can say what I want to say. So he wasn't really giving, here we go, another one of them. Like the way that he was talking, I could just feel, I could discern like, he might be all right. And so anyway, I sat in the class. It was really good. It was really informative. I was engaged. He was engaged. And he became my friend. So over time, so then Jim starts, he gives me more help, support, thoughtfulness. And one of the things in the beginning that made me say, oh, I like your answer was because I kind of presented this conundrum that I was in. Like, hey, I had this coffee business that makes sense to me, this concept, but people are telling me not to name it Black Please. Is that going to work against me as a Black woman? And just his response, his delicacy and his support, and then later on his support, he really had proven himself. Anyway, through this relationship, I got to understand and see sponsorship at play because there were some people who did not even respond to me. So now I am trying to be the speaker. I'm trying to penetrate these companies. I got this very sophisticated product, coffee, and I'm not getting some responses. People are not necessarily taking me seriously. And then my relationship with Jim, I'm noticing that through his relationships, I'm getting opportunities that I wasn't getting. And it's because he's on the golf course advocating for me. Hey, did you hear about Allison? She's an up-and-coming entertainer in Virginia. And she's also a savvy businesswoman, or she has this coffee. And can you talk with her? Or I've worked with her. She's really smart. Can you, etc. So he was sponsoring me. He was working on my behalf. And because of this, I 100% got opportunities and was exposed or just I got opportunities that I would not have gotten without this relationship. I didn't know to ask for it. Now in my great big old age, I am more intentional, and I have even talking to some of my mentees that I'm not in a position to really sponsor them, but I'm explaining to them, you need to find somebody who can speak on your behalf, who is in a room that you cannot get into, that helps you to get into that space or beyond that space. So anyway, so that's my backstory, even though it felt like the whole episode, but you stay right there. Cause listen, I'm excited about bringing in our co-worker cousin for today. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to cut right on over to my conversation with Jim Franklin. I am so excited to introduce you to my friend, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, I am really excited to have in the break room our very first coworker conversation. Give it up for my friend, my mentor, my babysitter, my favorite coworker, Jim Franklin. That's your intro.
I don't know that I deserve all that, but anyway, it's good to be your friend.
Yeah, that's what happens when we're not fighting and you're not cussing me out. We're not going to let the audience know that you probably did cuss me out a little bit last night, but hey, that's not their business.
How you doing? I never do that. I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing great. Pumping some caffeine into my system by the second.
This is kind of,
I think
this is an exciting kind of topic. I mean, it's different than what you and I usually talk about because we make assumptions about this, but I'm excited.
Yeah, but let's get into it. I think that was my cue, ladies and gentlemen. This is our duo right here. Jim keeps me on track. He has no tolerance for my ADHD. So that was code for let's get into this segment. So welcome to the show. I am really excited about you being here, Jim, and I want to talk with you about sponsorships. You know, you and I have been evolving this conversation a lot. And I just really appreciate, you really kind of put me up on it and had me open my eyes to the understanding or the difference between sponsorships and mentoring maybe 3 years ago when we kind of started our journey. And so I'm like, you were the perfect person to talk to. I just feel like our community and a lot of the people that I talk to right now are in this place where we're like, oh, shoot, we're not supposed to have a mentor? Huh? What's a sponsor? How do you get one? Can I pick them up out of Publix? Like, they don't have them in the grocery store. I tried. So can we just talk a little bit about that? I guess I think it'd be fantastic if you could just level set us with your professional perspective of the difference between a mentor and a sponsor and why we need to be getting a sponsoring.
Yeah. Several years ago, you and I were talking about this, and I don't remember exactly what it was. I think we were doing a presentation or something somewhere, and you called me your mentor. And I said, Guy, I really hope I'm more than that. And that sort of started the conversation. And I know that at my age, I tend to maybe trivialize new things that are words are just attached to. So take that for what it's worth. But I've always thought that being somebody's mentor was like too shallow. All I'm doing is, I don't know, mentors to me maybe inaccurately equated to cheerleaders. And I thought that being somebody's cheerleader, while it kind of makes both of you feel good, it doesn't have any longevity to it. And so what I kind of came up with when you and I started talking about the difference between being a mentor and then taking it a step further to becoming somebody's sponsor is a mutuality, and also being able to have the same priorities. So the way I see it is that mentoring it's a hierarchical thing.
Mm-hmm. That's a phone. Say it again.
Hierarchical meaning,
Wait, I want to see if I can say it. Hierarchical. Wait, come on, do it again.
Hierarchical.
Okay. Ooh, I'm gonna say that 3 times today. Okay, so meaning
that there is this implied structure, rank structure or something, like they say mentor versus and mentees, or mentors and proteges. So it assumes there's this expert that's going to be your mentor and drag you up with it. And I don't mind that. I think that's viable, but I think it is a little too parental for my liking. My thought is that I would rather be a mutual in a sponsorship kind of thing. And here's what I mean by that. So you came to me with Black Please Coffee.
Shout out to Black Please Coffee.
Yep, there you go. And you said that you had people tell you that the brand name was wrong, that it was maybe limiting your market and all that. And right away, I kind of took on a sponsorship, not a mentoring role, a sponsorship role. And I said, I think you should quit listening to them because let's talk about this. I think the message of your coffee is a great thing. And it doesn't mean you're just going to sell to Black people. It means that you're calling a social ill out, but you're also selling coffee. So anyway, that's the difference. And I know it's kind of a small difference between mentoring and sponsorship, but I'll end my comments with this, that any relationship, whether it's mentor and protege or sponsor and sponsoree, I think ought to have an element of partnership with it. And it's more than a friendship, because friends are careful not to tell you sometimes things they should. And sponsors have a stake in what you're doing. If I sponsor a television show, I want the television show to succeed. The television show owes me back a mutuality. They owe me performance to get more customers. So that's my idea.
You know, you're talking my language. You know, you're giving me the right kind of analogies.
Yeah, but don't you think that that what we have is more than mentorship? I mean, mentorship. Yeah. Also, the other thing that bugs me about it is that it sometimes imparts a one-way street. You know, there's favors coming from the mentor. There's advice coming from the mentor. And you know me, I don't want to be in anything that I'm not learning as much as I'm teaching, or I'm not getting as much as I'm giving. And to me, I've learned more from you probably than you've learned from me. Now, you wouldn't say that in public, but the reality is I feel that way. And that's an important difference, I think, between mentorship and sponsorship. What do you think?
This is so good, Jim. And I'm just glad. I mean, obviously, we have had this conversation before, but I'm glad to be able to have it with the rest of our coworker friends. Mm-hmm. But you absolutely helped elevate my understanding and introduce me to the concept of sponsoring, because like I didn't even know that it existed, or if I ever used it, it would be interchangeable for mentors. And I know, you know, it kind of started when I was like, oh, my mentor, and it would just like make you cringe. And I'm thinking, but mentor is one of the greatest roles that someone can have in someone's life, because again, I just was foreign or ignorant to the idea of you should always have someone in your network, your community, your circle that is speaking on your behalf, that is in rooms and places, levels ahead of you that you're not there yet, and that can help you on that trajectory. Like I didn't have that mindset. And you really helped me to be, you know, like I'm a sponsor. Like, well, what does that do? You know, and then that helped me to and it also helped me to shift some of my expectations from you, because like you said, with that mentor mentee piece, it is the parental type of, you know, babysitting day-to-day life coach. And, you know, I'm like, hello, Jim. The weather is bad and I haven't seen the sun in 3 days and I can't be creative. You're like, I am not the person to call for that, Allison. What I need you to tell me is where you think this business is going to be in 3 months, because I'm having these meetings and I'll, you know, keep you in mind as I know what you're doing. So that was so really valuable. Like you bring so much to me, and just knowing like how other communities and opportunity, or how people use their opportunities and their networks very differently. So then that takes me to the next question, especially amongst like my friends and peers who, you know, we like, oh girl, we don't have no directors and senior level leaderships, you know, just in another room, or anybody in a position that can be an influencer to be speaking on our behalf. Sometimes you have people that don't have that, right? Or they don't think that they do. And so then my next question to you is, can you kind of talk us through how, you know, let's say I'm somebody that I'm Allison. I don't have a gym. I'm actually listening to Allison and Jim, and I'm like, dang, I need a sponsor in my corner. And I see this guy, he seems, or this lady, she seems, or this non-binary person, they seem very nice and open and warm, maybe a potential sponsor. How do I get their attention? What do I do? Do I just walk up on them and say, hey, you're taking sponsorships? So like, how do we help people understand how to move into that space? And like, what do you do to not turn somebody off? Because I don't know why you rock with me, because I know I'm nuts. You stuck.
Well, I don't want to come across as saying that, you know, that the mentoring relationship is bad. That's a good thing. It's very positive.
Gotcha.
But I want to make it, you know, when it's important enough to last more than a week or more than a month, you know, you want to form a relationship with somebody. And mentor relationships, I would like to be more two-way street. So I've already said that. But the thing that I kind of have an order that I look for, and I have to go back to my life history, my life story, you know. People that and you know, my military history was very formative in the sense that, you know, all of my judgmental life was formed in uniform with, and I'm going to use that word again, in a very hierarchical
you better
society. But anyway, you know, it sort of took a lot of the day-to-day social constraints away because you knew where everybody stood. You know, you looked at their shoulder or their sleeve and said, that's a person's position. But the thing that most of us overcame from that is that we had within the military sponsors, and they're unwritten, unregulated, but it was like, I always knew there were 4 or 5 senior officer pilots who came from the same background I did, didn't go to an academy, all that kind of stuff. And they sponsored me. They helped me along. When I had a problem, I called them. And we talked it out as peers. Even though they outranked me by a great deal, that relationship took us to a place where we could talk about things. They could give me advice, but what do you think I gave them back? I gave them a view of everybody down at my level. I said, if I am a good officer, a good pilot, or a good soldier, or whatever, and I'm feeling this way, this 3-star general ought to be knowing the whole rank and file feels that way. So it is a two-way street, even though it's a sponsorship. So what do you look for? I think that I look for mutual respect. This is going to, by the way, sound a lot like picking a spouse.
Okay.
Because,
I'm not good at that, so.
Well, I don't think any of us are really. A lot of us get, especially guys, we get lucky.
Oh, is that what?
You know my saying, right? All men outmarry themselves, and the ones that realize that early in life have a better life. So anyway, I think you are looking for mutual respect. And so you said a second ago, why did I, pick you? I didn't pick you, but you and I got along. I respected you, and in return, you respected me. And that was the very first thing. If you remember the very first class, you respected me by asking me questions and holding my feet to the fire on things I said that were maybe superficial. And I said, wow, I can respect that. That woman will talk to me. So mutual respect is the first thing I look for. And then with mutual respect goes mutual trust. And here's a good question to ask about a mentor or sponsor or anything else. If I tell them something in confidence, is it going to stay between us? And that's in the day of social media, I find that to be a very important thing, because there are things that are better talked about face to face than they are, chatting or doing something else. Because I think if it's serious enough, then face to face conversation, and face to face over media is fine too. But you know what I mean? One on one tells me something that maybe it wouldn't in another environment. And then the third thing that I look for in either sponsors or mentors is I consider that they're not going to be my family. And I put that out of a lot of you describe me sometimes as like your father figure or your brother figure or something. And I do the same thing with you. And the issue is, but we know it's not family. That's different. And so the third thing that I look for is, are they objective enough about the things that we mutually care about to tell me when I'm wrong, or to tell me when I'm right, or to find a meeting ground there where we can both get better. So I don't know. You tell me.
No, these are good. I mean, this is very helpful, I think, in people who are in positions or spaces where they do have influence or opportunities to be influential, and they can kind of use what you're saying as ways to vet through those that are around them that they could be sponsoring. I think when I'm listening to you and I'm like, oh, like listening to your perspective, it's helping me to think through some of the things, I guess, maybe that I did or that I would do if I were looking for another sponsorship relationship in the season. And so like from when you and I met and we were in that class together, you were teaching the class. It was an entrepreneurship workshop. I was coming in there as a new business owner for the Coffee Black Please. I was asking you questions, but I don't think that I intentionally realized that I was holding your feet to the fire. It was more so I was trying to get clarity and understanding. I find that in my personality anyway, I'd always come off as kind of other ways. So I'm working on me. But I think that I would encourage someone to be honest with the potential person that they may want to ask to be a sponsor, but maybe like a backdoor way. Like, what you think about this? I would say, hey, Jim, I'm looking for a sponsor. Do you know anybody that might be? Do you know anybody whose name is Jim Franklin that might be interested in sponsoring?
Well, that's a good, it's a good definition of a big problem about relationships in general. How do you break the ice? But beyond breaking the ice, let's go back to one thing, and that is this hierarchy or this leveling, this rank structure in every workplace, like where we are in the workplace. Are you going to have a mentor that is exactly at your space, that works cubicle to cubicle with you? Probably not. You want somebody that's out of there that can have that third party objective opinion there. And I gravitate sort of to people that are in a different line of work than I am, or a different area of the work that I'm in, because I'm looking to expand my knowledge through them, and I'm hoping they're going to look to expand their knowledge through me. And I'll give you an example. I have a new acquaintance that's one of my investors, who I really consider a relationship of sponsorship between the two of us. Now, he's 30 years or 40 years younger than me. He's a wealthy man that made it on his own. He's African American, very, very, very talented. But what I look to him for is his very sage advice on the modern business world, things that I don't tend to know. And he looks to me for the old guy perspective. So if you think about that, that's it. Now I'll go to your question: how do you break the ice, or what do you do? My personal thing is, you try to become someone's friend first. So how would you become someone's friend? I would say my easiest and most successful times of doing that through my life have been when I find something that other person is interested in, and I get interested in it with them. And I don't mean if they play golf, I'm going to go play golf with them. I don't mean that. I mean, they are interested in their children. Well, I'm going to talk about their children. And let's figure out, whether we can get somewhere further down the road. Icebreakers, to me, are always those things that other people make up that don't work for us. You ever been to one of those silly parties where somebody has some icebreaker thing they're going to do, and you always.
But to that point, though, we have in our 10-minute, let me tell you something, John. Your girl is always going to plug us in. But look, our 10-minute coffee break episodes in our facilitators pack, we got the best icebreakers. Now, it could be because, we made it up. We literally made them up. But we got some good icebreakers. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I've heard of good icebreakers. Call us.
But there's, but I think an icebreaker is not it. The idea is that you're going to fertilize the discussion. You're going to make it grow. You're going to make it more than what it started out being. And I think in the mentoring or the sponsorship world, it tells the other person, you are serious. This is a serious thing. It's real. It's going to happen. And I'll tell you now that my perception of younger people, this is not an unfair stereotype, I don't think. But if it is, you'll tell me anyway. But
I'm going to hold you to the fire.
I think a danger of younger people is that the relationships that are formed sometimes are too superficial. And I don't know whether it's a fear of getting deeper or a fear of failure. I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that. But I think it was easier in my generation to have a friendship with someone because it wasn't so public. It was easier. And I think that's true about mentoring and sponsorship and all the relationships you have in the workplace. It's a different dynamic because it's public. And so you have to be kind of a little bit careful in the workplace. I have a mentor. If someone looks at you and your mentor happens to be the CEO of the company, how do they take that? Not well, probably.
Right.
They figure you're getting a free pass. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then at my level, let's say I'm the COO of a company and I take on you as my mentee or whatever, and you happen to be the deputy for finance or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do my people at the C-suite look at that? They're going to look at it like, well, you're swimming out of your lane, buddy. You're in the middle of my work. Keep away from my employees. So I think the public nature of it is tough. So your icebreaker should be, how do we find that common ground? It's interesting to both of us, not threatening to either of us, and makes us both richer. But finding that common ground, I think, is if you're the one initiating it, you've got to find something they're interested in. If they're initiating it and they're smart, they'll find something you're interested in. You know what I mean? That starts that mutual respect thing. I have enough respect for you to talk about what you're interested in, not just me.
This is really helpful because like as I'm listening to you and thinking about our journey, you're right. We did begin to kind of build around coffee and build around our upbringings and our background in the minority and the entrepreneurship piece before the sponsorship, business partner, friendship piece ever. We knew what we were doing with that. And so that's really helpful as even in the More Laughing at Work audience, we're all here. We're listening to, they're listening to this because we're trying to be better at work. What is the next step? And the next step, I think for some people that are listening, it's just the awakening to this concept of nobody is where we are. Successful people did not get there by themselves. We have to be humble. We have to look forward, find some of those, what are they, rungs on the ladder?
Yeah.
And move up those. And then those of us who really already understand the concept of sponsorship, maybe this is pushing them off of the, can't just wait for it to fall out the sky. If there's no sponsor, you should know, like what you said, you were like, I have 4 or 5 people. I was like, oh, dang, I think I had 1.5. You. And I'm like, oh, I need to get my numbers up. Like, I don't, know who that would be, or I certainly have not been intentional in my different passions or down the roads to say, hey, you, while you're down there, don't forget about me. Like, this is really good I think for people who just were not raised or in communities where we've had those opportunities for exposure to professionals at higher levels. And I know that that's why I struggled when I first came into corporate America, my entry role level in human resources, because I was around sophisticated-ish people. And I didn't know, like, just simple things like table etiquette. I had no idea I didn't have the courage, the confidence to interface and interact with people that were outside of my little group that looked like me. It was just so many opportunities that I didn't know how to take advantage of, that I feel like is why I wasn't further ahead. And so I'm just so grateful for you, even in this season. And I love how we're able to kind of share things like this. Like, I would not have ever thought in my 20s or 30s, because I'm about to be 40. Just a side note, to walk up to a 70-year-old white man and just kind of be comfortable with, let me see what he's interested in, and potentially have a friendship with him.
There's you always are fond of keeping me centered on, something that we can take action to do, a call to action or something like that. But I thought this over, when I first started thinking about what we were going to talk about. And I said, hey, is there a practical thing that I've always done that I can pass on to somebody else to say? And I'll tell you this, the one thing that I hate the most, and this, is long meetings. I want a meeting that has objectives. We get in there, we all work together, we figure it out like a team, and we do it. But I also know that in the business world, the workplace, you can't get away from meetings. They're important, things like that. But here's one of the things you can do when you're sitting in that meeting. Look at every person in that room and figure out whether they're above you or below you in the pecking order. Figure out, do I have something to offer them, and do they have something to offer me? Think about them in that mentor or sponsor role. And I'll tell you, it'll do 2 things for you. I know what it does to me. It makes me quit thinking poorly of people.
Mm.
So somebody may make a bad impression on me when they walk in because, I don't know, pick something. Well, an
Mm-hmm.
old man is not going to like a lot of things about young people, so you can always find
Mm-hmm.
something. But my point is this: it does two things. It makes me not think poorly of people, and it makes me put myself and those people on a more equal basis. There's
Mm-hmm.
something they're needing from me and something I need from them, and that might be your icebreaker. Those meetings, that post meeting
Mm-hmm.
coffee cup or something. Say, hey, I was thinking about this and I heard you say.
Mm-hmm.
We ought to
You're
work on
right.
that together.
That's good. Okay, so yeah, so we got our call to actions. That because I feel like that you were like, the thing I hate the most is law meetings. I'm like, oh, that's my trigger to wrap this up. That is my signal, y'all. Okay, so listen, Jim said, listen, y'all not about to talk me to death. Jim, as always, I love you so much. I just appreciate you being on this show, but I think that was really helpful. And we're going to make sure that our More Laughing at Work friends, our coworker, cousin coworkers, you all let us know, what you thought about this. Was this helpful? Did we give you some support on how to find a sponsor or a sponsoree? What is the word? Sponsoree?
I guess.
Listen, if your organization is really, let's say, have an appetite for this conversation, y'all can call us, because this is where Jim and I were really pulling together a curriculum about that and really getting in the weeds of building, kind of what is that? Overlapping fibers or something is how I'm trying.
Mesh.
Yeah, mesh. Anyway, thank you so much for spending time with me and dropping those wisdoms. I appreciate your perspective, your professional. I got all these titles that I can't say, but I like to do that because I prefer to take the hard way around. You have any closing remarks or thoughts for our coworker cousins?
Not really, but thank you, Allison. This is fun. We're going to do this again. So
yes,
there you go.
That's what I need. If he said we're going to do it again, y'all, we doing it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Jim. We'll talk soon. And I'll make sure to send you all of the comments on social media and email that everybody said about you.
Okay, thanks.
You going to say toodles to the people?
Toodles.
Toodles! So today, our More Laughing all the way to the bank conversation is all about money habits. Listen here. So as I am growing on my personal finance maturation journey, I realized how much I did not have a handle on the foundationals. It's some real basic stuff here that we need to make sure, we as me, that I have a good handle on before I move any further. I'm like, I'm about to come into me some M's. I'm ready to get my first $1 million. Girl, I'm going to need you to manage this $306. And I keep thinking I am there. I'm a great manager. It's like, but are you? Are you really? Are you? And one of the things I was talking about with my personal finance coach, and I think we talked about this a couple of episodes ago. You shut up, even though we only had 5 episodes. I know what we already had. Listen, focus. I gotta speak these things like they're way, in my mind, it's a big deal. Okay. So a couple of episodes ago, okay, we talked about it, but I don't think that I can move on. I know for me personally, I realize I have not achieved or maxed out in my habits, my money habits. And there are some habits that I really, really, really need to make sure that I am doing on my wealth building journey. And so that's what I want to encourage you today with me. And you might already be good at it. If you are, tell me some of your money habits that you have mastered. What money habit have you mastered? Because I want to be inspired and encouraged. But for me, y'all don't talk about me, okay? This is me being transparent, okay? Some basics. But I am really tussling with saving money. And I know that the saving money piece is connected to my discipline within my budget. But I really have to work. I have to think. I have to pay attention. I got a time block. I got to look at my money 3 and 4 times a week so that I don't dip into my savings account. Does that make sense? And so for me, the money habit that I am really trying to be 10 toes down is if it's in the savings, it's the savings, not savings for 2 weeks, Allison. So I am really proud to tell y'all that I am on to my 4th month. This is big for me. I don't care what y'all say. My 4th month of not touching my savings account. So when I get paid, I have money that goes into long-term savings. I got money that goes into short-term savings, and I got money that goes into really short-term savings. The really short-term savings, that's called my kids. It's like I know that one of them are going to need something extra above and beyond. Boom. So that's over there, and I touch it for that, whether it's my kid, my son in college, my daughter's in 12th grade. I got prom, graduation, college, fees, all this stuff. So I'm always going to need side money for that. Then I have my short term that I'm just pushing over to the side for stuff like car repair and some of those, and doctor stuff, and those kind of things that, again, I don't want to have this to come out of my regular, this is supposed to be my money for paying my bills and living until the next 2 weeks or whatever I get paid. But I also don't want this to come out of my savings for investment properties or, my long-term money moves type of savings. And so I'm telling y'all, that little short-term savings for my babies and the one that's supposed to be for my car and my doctor's appointments, because we wear glasses around here, teeth stuff around here, like we're shelving out money. We got a couple of medical things within my little tribe. Y'all, I'll be really like, if I just, I'm gonna just take this 400 real quick. Like, leave it there. It is a savings for a reason. And figure out what you do or do not have to do over these next 3 weeks that will keep you from touching your savings. So that's me, my confession to you. That's my more laughing all the way to the bank. I want to go to the bank laughing, knowing that I put money to the side and I did not touch it except for what I said I was going to touch it for. And me today, I'm reminded to master a money skill. And for me, that is saving. The habit for me is save the goddamn money, girl. Sorry. For those of you who are not watching this on YouTube, I know you listen here. The way those sound effects or the way my voice is sounding, that is how my face was looking. It is looking how it's looking, baby. It is creepy. Creepy. And your mama creepy too. But we got to make sure that we're developing some money habits. So please tell me, what habit are you working on? I'm pushing mine out to my little 6-month mark. My birthday is in May, and I'm like, girl, you should have 6 months under your belt where you are not using your savings as a checking account, and that you are a person of your word. You're disciplined. You tell yourself this is what you're working on, and you do it. And so I'm really excited about that. So I hope that you're encouraged too, because together we got to be laughing all the way to the bank, baby. All right, listen, we got one more segment. I think I told you this earlier in the show that we have an off the record letter. Yeah, we're going to get to it. Okay. All right. Off the record right after the break. Welcome back. All right. So our off the record segment is definitely one that's about to be my favorite, because I'm truly looking forward to hearing from you all. So make sure that you are asking Allison, what are you going through at work? You can send your emails to moorelaughing, MOORE, laughing @gmail.com, and ask Allison. So just think of this like, imagine you have a friend that works in HR or worked in HR, and you got a question. So you want to ask her a little off the record. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you think about this? That's me. I'm that friend. And so today, what? I saw the thought, y'all. Hold on, wait, pause. I saw it. Like, I could see in my mind, the teleprompter, the thought, what I was going to say, and then it left. It was like, you know what, girl, I'm done. The thought ran away. Okay, but look, what also ran away is time. And because we had such a great conversation with Jim, I wanted to make sure that we didn't short ourselves on just really hearing a dynamic that for me was new to me before I met him. And hopefully it's just something that inspires you and encourages you to talk. But encourages you to reach out to somebody who can be a sponsor or someone that you would like to sponsor and grow that relationship. For this purpose, though, for this off the record, okay, I'm sorry to say, but we can't get into the letter today because we have another episode that I'm excited about, our next week's episode, and we have our coworker that is in the break room for another conversation. So we have another guest for next week, and she's already here, and I did too much on this episode. But just to tee this up, because this is the letter that we will get into next week, y'all, I'm so hyped because she wrote me, right? Because I'm like, this was I put out there and I'm like to a couple people I knew, hey y'all, if you knew someone who used to work in HR, what would you ask them off the record if you knew someone? And they were like, we do know someone who used to work at HR. I was like, oh, well, what y'all want to ask me? And so they did. So I have a letter that I cannot wait to really get into. So make sure that you meet me here next week. And so this letter is from someone who has a disability. She has a disability. She went to talk to her leadership team about it because she needed some accommodations. And they were playing games in her face. They was playing in her face. And I'm excited to talk about it because I am your favorite HR lady that's not in HR. So I'm going to give you the ghettoized version of the right thing to do. And you yourself are going to unghettoize it and you're going to take it with you. But shout out to our off the record letters. And I cannot wait to unpack that one next week. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for hanging out with me today in the More Laughing at Work podcast. I hope you laughed a little bit. But more than that, I hope that you are inspired to be your best self professionally. Let's get these personal finance goals together. And, let me know how I can help spice up your workspace. Let me know what's going on in your world, and I'll make sure to start curating some content that's helpful to those of you who are listening with us and on this journey with me. I am your host, comedian Allison Moore. I really appreciate you spending time with me. Thank you for the growth. Those of you who are listening on your podcastables, can you let me know which one of your podcastables you listen to your podcast on? So I'll make sure I'm using that to tag into our newsletters. If you're not getting a newsletter, please go. Where would you go? We're building this plane up in the air in case you didn't realize it. You can't get out now. We're flying, baby. You're here with me. So try going to LinkedIn. Meet me over at LinkedIn. I am Allison Moore on LinkedIn, and I'm going to find a way to tag our newsletter so that you can get in there. We're sending out weekly emails to just brighten your day, kind of tell you what's going on the podcast, where I will be performing live because I'm back out here on this shrewd, and I'd like to see you in person. And thank you so much. That's all I got. Thank you so much. See you all next week. It's the More Laughing at Work podcast. I'm Allison Moore.